Hey guys, Jim Horn back again here, and in today's video we are going to pull the transmission, pull the shift forks and the drums. We're going to inspect some things, and we're going to get these cases all tore apart and ready to clean and get ready to go back together. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we've already taken everything apart in the clutch cover side except for our shift aligning pin here. So what we're going to do is we've got a little keeper tab here. We've got to get that knocked out of the way. Get that in there. Doesn't have to be all the way up, just enough to get your 17 millimeter here and loosen this lock nut. Okay, and then now guys, sometimes people will Loctite these in so that they don't come loose. This one's not. It was actually put in correctly. I don't use Loctite on this pin. I just get it locked into position and I lock the tab down correctly. But this one is nice and loose, so you'll be able to just pull it right out. And the reason that we're taking this out is because you can see this little keeper washer right here. When it's lined up normally, it is in the way of this pin. This pin is what holds your shift forks on inside the transmission, and we want to remove that. So we got to get this out so that we can remove that. All right, we'll set that aside. And now we can come in here and we can just pull the transmission out. Now, one thing to keep in mind, inside right here, guys, there's a ball bearing and there's a shaft about this long. When you pick this up and you move it around, that ball bearing will fall right out, usually into the oil, which makes a mess. But don't lose this ball bearing. It's important that the ball bearing is toward the clutch basket side and that the shaft is all the way in, okay? So you can see the shaft looks like this. I pulled it out the back side, but usually it comes out the front side. It may not come out the front side now. So we can just take these. Now when I'm inspecting a transmission, what I'm looking for is I'm looking to see if, first of all the gears spin freely. Second, to make sure the sliders slide freely. You've got another idle gear here, and then you've got some stationary gears. This gear here on my left thumb is stationary. This gear here on my right fingers is also stationary, although this one has a little bit of play in it. The other thing that I'm going to look at here, guys, is I'm just going to look at each one of the gears to make sure that that nothing's gone through here and they don't have any chips or breaks out of them. Make sure that the gear surfaces look okay. Make sure that they don't have any irregular wear or any chips or any breaks out of them, okay? This one looks acceptable. The next shaft we're going to pull right out. They just lift right up. And remember that on the back, this back set of gears, there's always a keeper. There's a keeper on this side. I can't get it now, it's stuck in there. Anyway, there's a keeper here, you can see it. A half moon keeper. Make sure you don't lose that. And there's a half moon keeper on this other side, okay? Make sure you don't lose that either. So we're gonna do the same thing with this shaft. We're gonna make sure that they spin freely. We're gonna make sure that the sliders slide good. We're gonna make sure that spins freely. Make sure this one slides back and forth nice and easy, and make sure that spins freely. All right, and then a lot of times I'll like to look in here. This is the second and sixth gear wheel here to make sure when these come together that they're not really worn off. I don't know if you can see inside there or not without a light, but sometimes where these dogs right here will connect in here, there'll be a lot of wear on the second and sixth gear wheel, and that sometimes can cause these to jump out of second gear. The other thing we want to look at, guys, is right inside here on these sliders where the shift forks have been riding. Let's just make sure that they're not blue, they don't have any heat marks on them, they're not all rough that look like they've been wearing. These ones look pretty good, they're nice and smooth. All right, so we can just set our transmission aside for now, okay? The next thing that we're gonna do is we are going to take a look at our shift forks. And we're gonna look at the sides of the shift forks, and we're gonna look at the faces of the shift forks here. We're gonna make sure that we don't see any crazy deep wear marks, any hot marks. These sides look good. You're gonna see a little bit of markings on these, but what you're looking for is deep grooves in these or blue hot marks, okay? These ones look pretty good. Then we're gonna look at the faces of them, where they ride in those gear channels. Those look pretty good. Those look pretty good. I would say these shift forks, let's go turn it around here and let's look at the other side. Okay, these all look pretty good. Yeah, these shift forks are in really good shape as far as where they ride in the transmission, okay? So what we're gonna do is we are going to pull the shift forks and the shift drum out, all right? Get these cases ready to be cleaned. So, in order to pull these out, on the back side of the shift fork shafts, you'll see these C-clips here, okay? There's one on each shaft. So what we do, we just get our screwdriver in here, we just pop them right off. Oh, that one just shot across the room. Do not let it do that, okay? Just be careful when you pop these off or they will shoot across the room. Usually you just want to take them off just like that and grab them. Now, I have a million of these C-clips, so don't worry about me, but don't let them shoot across the room. And then we're just going to take our screwdriver right here in this groove and we're just going to push right out so that we can grab it on this side. Now sometimes, guys, when you're pulling these out, they'll be kind of hard to pull out through the shift forks, or maybe even through the cases right here, and that's just because sometimes this groove will have a little tiny lip on it, okay? Now these ones feel really good. They're coming off really nice. Now what I always do is always make sure that I hold these shift forks in the order that they came off the shaft, okay? Just like this. I keep them in order. I pull the shaft out, and then I put them immediately back through so I don't mix them up. And then I set them aside on my rag or on my bench, okay? We'll do the same thing with this side. Stick our screwdriver in the little slot right here, and we're just gonna move it to the side and pull it out of its hole, pull it out, right? And then we're gonna put it right back just how it came off the shaft, and we'll set it aside. Now, here's another spot you need to look at. You need to look at this pin here and do an inspection of this pin, and you'll see where it was riding inside the shift drum. And you want to make sure there's no big flat spots, no big wear spots. I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but you can see a tiny little flat spot right there at the end of my pinky. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right. You see that little tiny flat spot just outside of the, you probably can't see it. Anyways, this one's totally fine. Sometimes the flat spot will be very evident, and that will make these not want to shift very good through the shift drum. These all look like they're in very good shape, but you want to keep an eye on that. And then you're just going to pull your shift drum right out the side. Okay, guys? Now, when you're inspecting your shift drum, all these grooves is where those pins on your shift forks move. And when they come over any high spot like this, they can cause wear to these high spots, and then they can get hung up when you're trying to shift. So what I like to do is I like to look and make sure that there's no groove right here, right along that high spot. And this one looks good, okay? And then we're gonna come to the next one, and you see this high spot here, and there's no evidence of wear on that one that I can see. And that one looks good. And then we're gonna come over to the last one here, and there's a couple of high spots here. So we're gonna look, there's a high spot here. We're gonna look there. Now this one has a little bit of wear. You probably can't see it from the video, but there's a tiny little bit of wear there where there's a little lip. I don't know if you can see that. Let me turn this one around so you can see it from this angle. You see, well, the light is not probably good enough, but anyways, the groove is right there on that edge. You can see a little bit of wear there, okay? So that's something that I would be aware of. This one doesn't look terrible, but it's definitely there. And then you're gonna look on this side. Now this side looks like it's in great shape. So those are the things you're gonna look for on a shift drum. You're also gonna make sure your bearing spins freely and that you don't have a lot of wear out here on this back end that goes inside the cases. But this one looks like it's in pretty good shape. Also, you wanna make sure that your shift star is nice and tight on here, okay? So guys, for today, that's how you take apart the transmission and get the cases ready to be cleaned. All right, till next time, thanks.